honor.
I know. Well, they're not winning the championship this year.
For once, it's time for a change. As we do see a duress here, Supreme Verdict going to go bye-bye. There's a Blood Baron and a bunch of Scry lands.
Yeah, Todd has one copy of Duress to go along with the 4 Thoughtseize in his main deck. So pretty fortunate for him. He's able to take that Supreme Verdict, which can be pretty good against him in his Pack Rat plan. Although there is that Blood Baron that's in Brian's hand, which is actually obviously very good against Todd's deck.
Todd's deck does have 4 copies of Devour Flesh, so he's actually pretty good against Blood Baron. It's not that easy, of course. I mean, obviously, Blood Baron does Devour Flesh does line up appropriately with Blood Baron, but things don't always play out that way. And if you look at Brian Braun-Duin's deck list, he has 4 copies of Blood Baron, too. So I think he'll be just fine as he does play Temple of Deceit. And now Todd with, tough guy alert, Pack Rat in the house.
Although Brian does have he top decked the Devour Flesh, so even though Todd Duress turn 1, he thought the path was clear, Brian did top deck a Devour Flesh to deal with the Pack Rat. So a little unlucky there.
I said, I was going to get you.
And he did have a Thoughtseize too, so he could have tried
Jeez.
again, but I think it's worth the risk given, you just duressed your opponent the turn before.
Underworld Connection is going to come into play here for Anderson on a Swamp, so he's off to a really good start. Turn 1, discard spell. Turn 2, Pack Rat, demands that BBD has an answer, and then a turn 3 Underworld Connections, so now he can keep up with cards.
Yeah, and because he duressed that Supreme Verdict and he dealt with a Devour Flesh, it looks like Todd has a Blood Baron in his hand too, which could actually be very tough for Brian to deal with now.
Here's a Thoughtseize, so let's take a look, Skipoo. There is that Blood Baron, of course. There's a Revelation, and Todd doesn't even care about the Blood Baron. Makes me believe he probably has Devour Flesh in his hand. A couple of lands there. I like the kind of the back and forth nature of this matchup. There's a lot of swings in this matchup due to the discard.
Yeah, although Todd with Underworld Connections right now is really in the driver's seat.
BBD is going to need a Detention Sphere to take that thing down. He draws a Jace, which isn't bad.
That's a start. Yeah, it looks like Todd does have a Devour Flesh and that Blood Baron in his hand, so pretty good start here.
There's a Temple of Silence, a Sphinx's Revelation, and a Hallowed Fountain. So, spell versus lands is what Anderson's going to do.
Yep.
And the Revelation.
The all-powerful Revelations
to
Brian's hand. Todd can drop the Blood Baron here and then threaten to kill the Jace next turn. Even if Brian does play the Blood Baron of his own, Todd does have a Devour Flesh to kill it.
Now the question here, of course, as you see Todd's going to take a moment, is does he activate Underworld Connections or does he just go land slam Blood Baron? Do you want more cards? Or do you want to get a threat on the board? A threat that you probably believe is going to die.
Yeah, it looks like he might have a Pack Rat too, so he might be considering drawing a card playing Pack Rat in that direction, but I think you just want to get the Blood Baron out there because you know what's Brian's hand, you know he has the Blood Baron, so you can kind of bait him to play that Blood Baron and then Devour Flesh kill Jace.
The big question, of course, is how many, if a Detention Sphere shows up, you only really got one activation off your Underworld Connections. Are you okay with that? Where you could have gotten more, as you see Brian's going to cash in the Jace to find another one, a Devour Flesh and a Water Grave. And Todd was about to split it really quick. He's like, man.
Yeah, and that's a great play for Brian because I think he knows he's just going to lose his Jace anyway. There's no point in upticking here. Let's just try to dig for more cards and find the perfect card in Devour Flesh. Now he's able to deal with that Blood Baron if he chooses to, or he can just get another Jace. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting too because imagine if Brian had a Supreme Verdict in his hand right now. He could just take the 2 cards, play a White Source, cast Supreme Verdict, and be good to go. But he's going to end up taking, I believe, the Devour Flesh and just passing back.
And yeah, with the Sphinx of Revelation in his hand, along with the Blood Baron, I think he's fine with just dealing with the threat that's currently in play, and then trying to win the long game with Revelations.
So D-Flesh is going to take care of the Blood Baron and pass the turn back. And I like that he's Devour Fleshing right now, because if Todd were to play a Mutavault, it would completely blow up his plan of Devour Fleshing the Blood Baron. So a smart play there by BBD. Here's a Thoughtseize for Todd to lead off with.
Yeah, you can't respond to your opponent playing a land, so definitely a smart play there from Brian.
Seems like every time Todd plays a spell, he's always or something happens, he's like, oh man, not again. Because now he's Thoughtseizing, he sees double Revelation and Blood Baron. So now Revelation number 2 is going to go to the graveyard, but Brian's drawn another one, and now here's Pack Rat.
Yeah, well, Thoughtseize is good, but Brian's deck has so many powerful cards that there's just so many targets that Todd has to deal with Thoughtseize and Duress. Like even a Supreme Verdict, you don't really want to take Supreme Verdict in this matchup because it's not nearly as high impact as Sphinx of Revelation or a Planeswalker. But Todd had a plan, trying to go turn 1 Duress, turn 2 Pack Rat, just didn't work out for him this game.
So BBD with 5 lands again. We know about the Revelation. We know about the Blood Baron. Let's see what else he's got going on and what he wants to do out this Pack Rat. Does he even care?
I definitely think he cares. I mean, you don't want Pack Rat to go crazy. Obviously, he's got 1 copy of Revelations. Right now, he can Revelation for 3, I think, if he So it looks like he's just going to play Blood Baron and pass. Todd does have a Devour Flesh.
And Todd shrugged his shoulders pretty quick, says, I don't really care about that. He's going to start by drawing a card, go down to 16. There's a Blood Baron of his own. A lot of haymakers in this matchup.
So does Todd have a land? Yep.
Yep.
Looks like he has a land he can activate. And we're going to swing in for 2, it looks like. So not a bad turn for Todd. Still has to deal with that Revelations that's going to be coming soon, but he's still got a 2 pack rats in play and the Underworld connection, so he can start churning out the army. But Brian top decks a Detention Sphere.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. Deals with he can deal with the pack rat, or he could choose to deal with the connections here. I'm not sure what he wants to go after. Looks like he's just going to pass the turn in Revelation for 4.
How do you feel about this decision where he could have taken care of the Underworld connections, potentially the pack rat, or he just wants to draw 4 cards?
I like this play better just because you don't want to get your Revelations Thoughtseize.
Sure.
Or direct, so I think you just want to draw a bunch of cards. Then when you'll draw more cards, you have more information as to what you want in the Detention Sphere.
Okay.
Maybe he wants to go after Underworld Connections and just cast Supreme Verdict if he draws it. So definitely like this plan more. He's going to draw 4 cards here, gain 4 life, go up to I believe 20 or yeah. So go up to 20, draws a Blood Baron, and there's a Supreme Verdict. So now he has the best of both worlds. He can deal with Pack Rat with a Supreme Verdict and still cast Detention Sphere on the Underworld Connection.
Yeah, this turn's great for BBD. He gets to clear up all of the problems that he's dealing with. And that's just the power of Revelation, of course.
Yeah, Revelation is just way too powerful of a card. That's the thing about Thoughtseize. You can't stop him from top decking.
That's right. There's the D-Sphere. There goes the connections. All of a sudden, Anderson was going toe-to-toe with BBD. Now he's not so much anymore. Beautiful going to come into the red zone, but that's only going to knock Braun-Duin down to 18. There's a Blood Baron and pass a turn back. So now he's forcing BBD to have a Devour Flesh or a Verdict, but I think he already has another Verdict in his hand.
Yeah, so BBD is not looking too bad here. Still going to need to draw a little more action. He has answers, but I don't think he has a Planeswalker. He might have a Blood Baron in his hand though.
Yep.
So there's a Blood Baron.
Oh, not a bad turn.
Not a bad turn. Todd just has a Desecration Demon and a Hero's Downfall in his hand.
Kill your Blood Baron, play my own against your mono black deck. There's a Desecration Demon, which is a good card, but not great in this situation.
It's good, but it looks like right now I'd say Blood Baron is going to be able to pull this one out for Brian unless Todd's able to draw Devour Flesh.
So let's see what Brian wants to do on this turn. Again, he does have a Verdict in his hand. He also has a Jace hanging out over there. Does he want to start by playing the Planeswalker or start by attacking? So Anderson's going to go down to 11. BBD is going to go up to 22. And now a discard spell.
Yep, there's one Hero's Downfall. Maybe we might just get a Jace Foff right here if he does have a Jace in his hand. It might be a Dimir Charm.
So
he's just going to pass.
Okay. So he says, you got a Desecration Demon. I don't really care about that too much.
All right, well, this could help the race. I was going to say 1 Desecration Demon versus Blood Baron will not win the race. However, 2 Desecration Demons, that's a different story.
Okay, 2 Desecration Demons does make things a little bit more interesting
and
here.
BBD is out of cards in his hand, so.
Well, that just means it's time for a top deck. That's all.
It's kind of an awkward top deck. I think it might be a Supreme Verdict. Let's see what he does here. I'm not sure. He's got that. Todd just has that Hero's Downfall in his hand, which Brian knows about.
It is an awkward top deck, but it'll get the job done.
Yeah, he knows he can't win their race, so unfortunately, there's really no other option there for Brian.
And the Mutavault was killed via the Dimir Charm, so now we're in top deck mode here. Let's see what BBD draws. Just a lands.
Yeah, and Brian has so many better top decks here. He has more Scry lands he can draw, which are fine. He's got obviously all those Planeswalkers, Blood Barons left in his deck. I think he has 1 copy of Revelations left. So.
Yep. He does have 1 Rev left in his deck and to play a Hallowed Fountain and pass. Anderson draws his card, Devour Flesh, pass back. Let's see what BBD draws. He finds another land, pass. Anderson, Devour Flesh.
Nothing but removal on Todd's side. Can't seem to get. Oh! There's one of those giant top decks that we were talking about. It's gonna get hit downfall. However, Brian's gonna be able to get 3 tokens out of the deal, which could be enough with Todd just at 7 life right now.
Yeah, 6 mana, 3 tokens. That's like just a hard cast Spectral Procession.
Todd really needs a pack right here. Just gonna
Devour Flesh.
Might as well.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Let's see. Although, you know what? I'm not sure if that's correct. Just because if you draw pack right there, you're really gonna regret it.
That's true. That's true. Underworld Connections.
Yeah, because if you drew pack rat, then you just basically
you trump those tokens immediately.
Immediately.
Doomblade's going to take down these tokens, so he's just firing away. And now Blood Baron on top.
There's
Jeez.
Unfortunately, he's out of Devour Fleshes, I think.
Hey, that's why you play 4. Take a draw step here.
I think he might have used all of them this game.
Oh, but that's what I'm saying. That's why BBD plays 4 Blood Barons.
Yeah.
Normally you only play 2, and you see Todd's going to look at his graveyard here to see, okay, can I do anything to get myself out of this? He does have a pack rat. He does have something to discard as well, but Blood Baron's going to attack Anderson down to 1.
I think Todd checked to see how many Devour Flushes he has left in his deck, and it's not going to be enough. And Braun-Duin, on the strength of the top of his deck, is able to defeat Todd Anderson with a pair of Blood Barons.
Hey, that's why you put him in your deck.
That's why I put him in the deck. You can't draw them if they're not in the deck.
That's true. 4 copies of Blood Baron. If BBD thought that Mono Black and Esper and other such decks were going to be big, that's why he's got 4 Blood Barons in his main deck. It looks like he is correct, sitting at 8-1. But let's take a look at the sideboards here. We'll start with Anderson's, which you have in front of you.
Yeah, so Todd has 3 copies of Shrivel, 1 Last Breath, 1 Doomblade, 2 Dark Betrayals, kind of good removal spells for the particular matchups he cares about. He also has 1 copy of Pithing Needle, 1 copy of Sin Collector to go along with the one in his main, 3 copies of Duress, and 3 Lifebane Zombies. Now, in this matchup, obviously we saw the power of Blood Baron. I think Lifebane Zombies definitely a card. Even though there's not many targets in Brian's deck, there's a 1 giant target. Yeah. So I think being able to go after a Blood Baron as well as gain information from Brian and just see what's in his hand. Plus, it's a clock. Yep. So I could definitely see bringing in the Lifebane Zombie. I could see bringing in 3 more copies of Duress and bringing in that Sin Collector, too. So he'll go up to 4 Duress in his main, along with the 3 Lifebane Zombies and 2 Sin Collectors, along with 4 Thoughtseize. That's a lot of hand disruption. Yeah. I also think he wants to bring in the 1 Pithing Needle as a way to stop either Jace or Elspeth, depending on what he was more concerned with at the time. So I could see him bringing in those 8 cards. As far as his main deck is concerned, he's got 2 copies of Doomblade, which can come out. He's got 2 copies of Last Breath that can come out. The other 4 cards, that's going to be tricky. Not sure. Maybe Desecration Demon or Blood Baron. Not sure. Desecration Demon hits hard, though. I mean, it's actually pretty good against control decks because they don't have a lot of creatures to sack to it. And for 4 mana 6/6, it's a pretty quick clock. We saw there, Brian was actually forced to cast a Supreme Verdict to deal with 2 Desecration Demons, despite the fact that he had Blood Baron.
That's what I was going to say. That situation where Desecration Demon number 2 actually turned the game back in Todd's favor, even though BBD had a Blood Baron in play. Now the race was all of a sudden in Anderson's favor as opposed to BBD's. So I could see wanting to leave in some number of those, but again, I don't know how many.
Yeah, I definitely think Last Breath and Doomblade's coming out. The question is, does he want to shave some of the Blood Barons or Desecration Demons? I mean, Blood Baron's obviously much better against Mono Black Control than it is against Esper, but it's still a fine threat. But I don't know, maybe Lifebane Zombie's just better than Blood Baron in this particular matchup. I don't know. But definitely think he's going to shave some of those numbers. Not sure exactly what, but bringing in a lot more hand disruption should help him after board.
We'll take a look at Braun-Duin's sideboard here. He's got 3 copies of Sin Collector, 2 Doomblade, 4 Nightveil Spectre, a Glare of Heresy, an Aetherling, and Thoughtseize, and 3 Pack Rats. I really love Nightveil Spectre in this matchup. Anderson's deck isn't that great at actually taking care of a resolve one, and of course BBD is whatever he hits, he's likely going to be able to cast. So I like bringing in a lot of those. The additional discard spell on Thoughtseize is pretty nice to break up, Pack Rat draws or be able to nab a Blood Baron, something of that nature. Sin Collector, a lot of spells in Todd's deck, so I can certainly see that being okay. The big question is, does he bring in Pack Rats of his own?
Yeah, I think he wants Pack Rat in this matchup, but again, we saw the Pack Rat yesterday. I'm not quite sure how good Pack Rat is out of Brian's sideboard.
Same.
It seems more cute than anything else. I like Nightveil Spectre a lot. But Pack Rat yesterday, he just has so many high-impact cards, and he needs to continually make his land drops with this deck. And he doesn't have something like Underworld Connections. Like, Underworld Connections is a cheap way to keep fueling your Pack Rat, while Sphinx's Revelation is a great way to refill your hand. You need a lot of mana for that to be effective, which means you have to keep making your land drops, which means you can't keep discarding them to Pack Rat. So it's kind of an awkward card out of the sideboard of a control deck. So not quite sure he wants to bring it in, but obviously Pack Rat's it's a decent card against Mono Black, so we'll see what he decides to do. But I agree with you. Nightveil Spectre is definitely a card to come in. I also think Sin Collector is probably a fine card to bring in too. Be able to nab Hero's Downfall and Devour Flesh to protect your Blood Baron, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Todd definitely has a lot of spells after sideboard, so I think Sin Collector is going to be pretty good. The 2/1 body doesn't matter all that much, but the fact that it gives you information and is likely going to hit a card is a pretty big deal.
It can take a Hero's Downfall to protect your Planeswalkers. It can also take a Devour Flesh, as well as give you a body to sack to any top deck Devour Flesh to protect your Blood Baron. So definitely like Sin Collector.
Both players are going to keep their 7 cards. Duress is going to start the show here for Anderson, so we'll see immediately what Braun-Duin is working with here. So you see Devour Flesh, Nightveil Spectre, Detention Sphere. Detention Sphere times 2. Wow, okay. So double Devour Flesh, double Detention Sphere, Spectre, and the necessary lands to cast the Spectre. So a pretty good hand.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is a Duress, not a Thoughtseize, because this particular hand, you'd imagine Todd would definitely just want to take the Nightveil Spectre. So looks like Duress is going to go after My guess is Detention Sphere, but I'm not sure what's because Detention Sphere is one of the few cards that take out Underworld Connections, which is obviously very powerful in this matchup. So we'll see what he decides to do here. And it looks like he's going to go after Devour Flesh,
Okay.
so it looks like he might have a Blood Baron in
Oh,
his hand.
there's your Thoughtseize.
And there it is. Nightveil Specter's gone.
Okay. Now he just needs a Cabal Therapy, and we're good to go. That's all I
need.
need.
Oh, if only.
Yeah.
We'll probably see those in about 3 rounds. So here's a Temple of Deceit.
And that one
Brian.
just right off the top too.
Yeah,
so
right off the top. And it looks like he kept the card, and it's a Nightveil Specter. So wow.
That.
Great situation for Brian here. Todd has really nothing in play besides a Mutavault, and a Nightveil Specter is going to come down here.
Does Devour Flesh
Todd have an answer to it? No, he doesn't. He just has creatures now. It looks like a Blood Baron.
Thoughtseize.
So Thoughtseize can take out the Devour Flesh. Maybe he can try to win with the
Blood
Baron next turn.
I think that's actually what his plan's going to be. I don't think he has much of a choice.
Yeah, Detention Sphere. I mean, he's fine with baiting a Detention Sphere with the Pack Rat. Pack Rat's really not going to do much right in this situation.
I like to start by attacking with Spectre. What's that top card? It's a Swamp.
So good hit. He can play the land this turn if he wants to. Todd just has that Blood Baron. He's going to try to go all in on that Blood Baron. It's possible to win with it, but
yeah, it's going to be tough though.
Given Brian's hand, Brian just has lands and a Detention Sphere right now.
And you have to believe he's got. I think he has an Elspeth.
Oh, he might have drawn an Elspeth, yeah.
But you have to believe that Brian knows that Todd is setting up a game with a Blood Baron because he's aggressively taking those Devour Flushes.
Yeah. So it looks like he's going to play the land off the Nightveil Spectre and make sure he can play it in case Todd draws a removal spell. And now we're going to get a Detention Sphere.
So Anderson's going to draw very quickly.
Draws a Hero's Downfall. He has choices now, but it looks like just Blood Baron's going to come down. And he's going to try to win with Blood Baron. Obviously, Brian can cast the Elspeth and up and down take Elspeth to kill all creatures with power 4 greater.
What did we find? We found a Lifebane Zombie.
Oh, interesting. That can certainly come down here, get a little more information.
What do you got there? You got a Hero's Downfall. You're on empty.
Wow, so Brian has a pretty good army here, thanks to Nightveil Specter.
There's a Temple of Silence.
Yeah.
And he still has a Hallowed Fountain in his hand, so he does have the 6 land necessary to cast that Elspeth that he drew.
Can we top deck Underworld Connections? Okay, so Todd can get probably another draw to try to get a Thoughtseize or a Duress.
Oh, tough guy Mutavault.
Oh wow, really?
That is surprising.
That's surprising. I thought he would definitely cast Underworld Connections and try to draw into a Duress or a Thoughtseize. Obviously, he doesn't know that Elspeth is in the hand, but
because now he uses the Hero's Demise to take care of that Nightveil Specter. Now we know that BBD is going to be able to play this Hallowed Fountain into play untapped, and Todd's already reaching to put the Blood Baron in the graveyard.
So it's not terrible because Todd was able to deal with the creatures that were in play, and now he's going to be able to. Oh no, he doesn't have the Hero's Downfall anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Todd, tough shape right here. Maybe he can draw a Pithing Needle off the Underworld Connections, but he doesn't even have enough mana for that.
Elspeth is some real trouble here.
Yeah, Todd really doesn't have many answers, even to just the tokens.
Yep.
We saw last game, 3 tokens. He was forced to use 3 spells on them, and he's really not even anywhere close to being in the position that he was last game. So, yeah, just these 3 tokens alone are going to be tough for him to deal with, and he still needs to deal with the Elspeth.
Elspeth's going to take up 3 more soldiers going to come into play. The Scry from Temple of Silence is going to go onto the bottom. Follow up here is Detention Sphere to take care of the connections. Todd will draw a card. So
Todd, in a really tight spot here, needs to draw a Pithing Needle or a Hero's Downfall right away. Looks like he draws another Underworld Connections.
And he's got a Lifebane Zombie too, but that Lifebane Zombie is not going to be very good right now. He will cast it. He's going to see a Supreme Verdict that BBD will show him. It's like, just in case anything goes wrong, I've got this here.
So Lifebane Zombie has Intimidate, so he can attack through the tokens and go after the Elspeth.
Yep.
So that's step 1. And it looks like, but the Supreme Verdict's going to come down just to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I had a feeling Brian was going to do that. Just
there's no
chance I'm going to let you do that.
It's not like he's losing any cards on it. He's losing a Supreme Verdict. He's going 1 for 1, and he's just killing tokens that he created off an Elspeth.
Yep.
So
Connection's going to come into play on the plains. Anderson going to go down a little bit. Now there's a Blood Baron, but Elspeth can take care of that. And Elspeth can do it in such a way that it doesn't die again, because it's going to take up to 4 this turn.
Yeah, unfortunately, Todd needed to cast the Blood Baron that turn.
Yep.
In order to deal with the Elspeth, but now Todd's going to be able to uptake it up to 4. So even if he downtakes it, it'll still be in play.
He's going to slam the Blood Baron down here, which Elspeth can take care of.
And the tokens can attack Todd down to 2.
Yep.
So, yeah, it looks like Todd just doesn't have any outs here.
BBD draws a card. Elspeth going to take down. There goes your Blood Baron. Attack for 6, and that is going to do it. So Braun-Duin is going to move on to 9-1. Todd Anderson's going to pick up his second defeat. But Esper Control, a deck that people were kind of writing off coming into this tournament, saying blue-white was better. I think BBD and Shaheen Sarani have to say otherwise, as both players are doing really, really well in this tournament.